Welcome to our social impact, brought to you by the Prison Scholar Fund. The PSF's mission is to provide education and employment assistance to help currently and formerly incarcerated people succeed and thrive in society, while avoiding homelessness and the revolving door of reincarceration. The PSF also advocates for reform in correctional education to increase opportunity for all. As a nonprofit, we rely on investments, volunteers, and are always looking for board members to champion our mission. Please connect with us through our website at prisonscholars.org, where you can find volunteer opportunities, make a contribution, and learn more about becoming a board member. You can also email us at info@prisonscholars.org and find us through most social media platforms at Prison Scholars. Become a patron by supporting us directly at Patreon with @PrisonScholars. We appreciate your review of this podcast through whatever platform you listen through. Without further ado, here's Dirk van Velzen, founder and CEO of the Prison Scholar Fund.
All right. Well, welcome to the next episode of Our Social Impact. Today we have Goldie, and I just know Goldie from the joint. I don't even remember your last name.
Russell.
Goldie Russell.
Yeah.
So tell me about what you're doing today, Goldie. I know you're going to start a podcast, so maybe we can talk about that whole thing.
Yeah, starting a podcast, I guess it's all became apparent really more just because of COVID and having to pivot and whatnot, and to continue to put your efforts into just positive things. After you come out of those lifestyles and you come out of just living different ways, it's it's difficult sometimes to keep your mind on positive things and in a forward progression. So a podcast was just something I was thinking about, and I was just thinking about all these different individuals who I know who have done 27 years, 20 years, 19 years, 15, and I'm seeing these guys that are doing some, not just getting out and staying out, but are doing some phenomenal things, each in their own lane. And so I just started thinking, the average person doesn't know that. The average person just only sees the guy who constantly goes back, and doesn't get the opportunity to see that there's these amazing cats doing amazing things, whether it's in ministry, whether it's in nonprofit, whether it's in real estate. And so I wanted to just start a podcast to touch on that, but having a twofold of having individuals come on there and really talk about some of the struggles in which that that you've had to stumble through, right? As you come home, it's not everything that you thought it was going to be. At least it hasn't been for me. And so letting other cats know that, man, maybe they fall, maybe they see it like I did, and didn't have that great epiphany and need some encouragement to know that, man, you can keep pushing forward. You're gonna be all right, but you gotta stay focused though, and probably grind harder than the next person.
Yeah. So how long were you down for?
18 years, 2 days.
All right. Yeah, I was down for 15, and I don't have the days counted. Just I know it's a 15 chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got out May 7th, 2015. What was your rebirth day?
September 17th, 2016.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what was your biggest challenge? Or did you have one?
Oh yeah, no, I've had many, and I think that for me, a couple different things. A is expectations. I believe that a lot of different people had, you have your moms, you have your girl, you have all these different people in your life who have expectations of what it's going to be like when you come home. The problem is that they ain't never talked to each other. They ain't never talked to you about what these expectations are. Nobody had, so in the end, it's like you come home and everybody ends up getting let down. I'm gonna say for me, probably the most difficult thing has just been relationships. It just, in general, obviously I haven't been very, with my friends and my guys that I did time with. Yeah, man, I still have some great relationships with them, but with my son, with my mom, man, those relationships ain't that great. At least not where I would like them to be, at least. So relationships is definitely my biggest thing.
So how many of your buddies got out that you're still in contact with?
Man, quite a few, and they continue to get out, and it's sometimes some of the relationships have been more built out here. You just seeing somebody in passing, and then but then when you get out, he was meeting with somebody else I knew, and then we started vibing. But I'm gonna say maybe 10 or so that I've gotten out that I'm in constant contact with. I think that Yeah, I'm just trying to think about that. It's just about 10.
It's always kind of funny because people you're friends with on the inside, it's kind of like you always wonder, am I still going to be friends with them on the outside when they have the freedom to be whoever they want to be?
Yeah.
Or also, like, you have a bigger pool of friends you can pick from also. So if you weren't in prison, would there still be a guy you're going to hang out with?
Yeah, that's, you know, and that's a hard thing though, man, because prisoners, I went in young. I was 19, and so prison shaped me so much that it's difficult to even think about having how would my group of friends be if I had, hadn't went to prison. I can't even imagine, because I literally don't talk to any of, I don't talk to anybody I used to, deal with in the past.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two people.
Yeah, very few. And one guy, one of my partners, we were really close, running every day together. And this cat, so I do, I do my time. He doesn't. I never get one letter. Never got one. Here's my phone number. Call me. Never got one. Nothing. I'm like 2 weeks to getting out. I'm in work release. This guy sends me his phone number. I couldn't believe it, man. I was so.
Was it random, or do you know you were getting out, or what?
He knew I was getting out because like his cousin was in the work release, or so he got it word through somebody like that, and he just called the work release and gave him my number. I never called him, but it was just, I couldn't believe the audacity. Like, man, I heard from you in 20 years.
Yeah. Maybe I had an epiphany, like you woke up one day and was like, you know what, maybe I should give Goldie a call.
Man, I just couldn't believe it. And he reached out to me though after that. I think he caught me on Facebook or something, which I'm very rarely on. But and he could just tell that I got no ill feelings. I wish him the best in life. But I just didn't really have nothing to say.
So when you got out, did you have a girlfriend, or did you have family support, or how'd you break ground on your new life?
Man, I think, well, with me, I just, I was super blessed just in the aspect of having different various jobs while I was inside, and I was able to save up a little bit of money. And so that, for me, I got out just to myself. And I just broke up with my girlfriend, I believe, at the time. So I got out and was just a wild young, you would think a young bachelor, but I wasn't young, man. I was just stupid. And I think, somebody told me one time, they said, however old you are when you go in, you get stuck, in a sense you get stuck there, and then when you get out, everything's just multiplied. So if you got, you went in when you're 20, let's say you get out in your 40, they said, okay, so how long you been out? You've been out a year, so it's really like you've been out 2 years. So it's like you're 22 then, is what she was trying to tell me.
Okay.
And I agreed with her. At first I didn't agree with her because I was like, man, in some ways I'm like a 70-year-old man. I know that for a fact. So, and some of my knowledge and wisdom and just from pain and experience. But then I started seeing some of the things that I was doing. And I started seeing that she had a point.
You didn't mature like you normally would have, yeah.
Yeah, you mature mentally, but you're like, there's some physical things that you still have to go through. Whether it be a woman had to pull a knife on me, or in a relational situation, and I've had that, and a few other things happen. And so I look back and I say, man, this isn't stuff that a 40-year-old man should be doing. I got women jumping my fence at the house, and it's just too much. It's not that serious. So I just realized that the lady had a small point. That there were still some things that I had to traverse through physically to get over that hump.
Yeah, I totally relate to that. I fell in my 20s, and I used to love to ski.
Yeah.
So when I got out, I started skiing again, and my brain still thought I was a 20-year-old skier, right? And my 40-year-old body was like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you. I don't know where I got the confidence, but I went bungee jumping. And man, the video, I got the video of it, is so hilarious. And
were you screaming like a girl, or you?
No, but listen, you would think that I jumped 50 times. You would think that just the way how cocky I was, I just I'm chucking deuces at the camera, like it's nothing. Man, and I ran, and so it's a long story how I got there, but I was able to run off the plank. You're not supposed to be able to do that your first time, but I ran off the plank.
Oh, do people not? They just step off or something?
Yeah, on the first one you have to go on this. At least where I went and jumped in Amboy, on one half of the bridge is a it's just a platform that you just step off.
And
right?
And the pros jump, but not the first time.
No, the first timers jump off that just the platform that you just walk off.
Okay, gotcha.
But once you've come back a second time, it's more like a promotional thing. They don't want you to go onto the cool one until you've come back, right? They want you to come back. So, but it just so happens I was going up there with my son. My son was overweight, over the weight limit. My prison story literally is what was able to get him to jump and me to jump on the same side, because the owner just happened to be there to override it. So, but I literally ran and jumped off the plank, looked down, realized there's literally nothing there. Your heart drops. Yeah. And in midair, you can see me turning around, trying to go back to the plank.
Like have a do-over?
Yeah, I wanted to do-over. I asked myself right that second, man, what in the hell did you just do? Yeah. My whole life flat. And listen, and you already know, we've been in prison. I've seen prison riots. I've been in shootouts. I've been shot at.
You done some shit.
I've been through some stuff.
Yeah.
Never have I been more scared in my life.
No kidding.
Never, man. Never have I been more scared. And it didn't get easier the second and third time I jumped. It was worse even because I knew what was coming. Yeah. And I only went back because I didn't want to let fear rule me. I didn't want to let something have me so terrified that I couldn't do it. And so I went back, but yeah, it didn't get no easier, man. It was just as hard, if not harder. What's so crazy about that is that I skydived 3 days after I bungee jumped, right? And the only reason I bungee jumped is one of my homegirls said, hey. Because I was telling her that I was going bungee jumping, and she was like, "I didn't know you wanted to bungee jump. You want to skydive too?" And I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, I'm not trying to do it all."
Oh, did you do the tandem or the?
I did the tandem.
Yeah.
But I still. She was like, "Well, let's go." So I was like, "All right, no problem." After I had bungee jumped, I didn't want to skydive anymore, at all.
Oh, really?
Bungee jumping was terrifying, man. I don't think you really understand.
Is that scarier than skydiving?
Listen, no,
totally different.
It's 150% different. I mean, a million times different. To the point where the only reason I went skydiving, the only reason was because she had already paid her money for it, and I didn't want, I didn't want to be like that. But literally, when I got done from bungee jumping, I said, "Okay, I've done it. I'll never have to do it again ever in life." You know what I'm saying? That was real. It was done. Then I went and skydived, and so you already know I'm the whole time I'm just trying to focus. Because I'm already knowing this is going to be terrifying. Breathe out. And the guy's like, you're going to be okay. Man. I just kept saying, man. And he's trying to give me the thumbs up, and I'm just, just leave me alone, man. I don't need your pep talk. I'm going.
Maybe because his tandem is like it takes pressure off, or.
Yeah, well, I think that's what they do is they try to talk you. Just talk to you and just try to get you to be loose. Yeah. He doesn't understand what I had just went through, but the cold part about it is. So you jump out and I got the video. I got the pictures of it, and you see my face, and I'm just eyes wide open, and within 3 seconds, easily, man, it was so peaceful. Yeah, it's the most peacefulest thing that you'll ever. It's so quiet. It's just
once you're past that initial acceleration.
It's just that coming out the plane, and I mean, literally, when I got done skydiving, I could go right back up.
Yeah, then you're like, once you're past that little bit of a rush. Then you kind of either want more of a fall, and then you just enjoy the canopy ride.
And so when I went back to, I was skydived twice now, and when I went back, I literally was, I didn't even flinch, flail, or nothing like that. I was able to get past that free fall there. On bungee jumping, I haven't been able to do it yet. I'm trying to get out there on the bungee jump and run and do the swan dive. Yeah. This is what's crazy. So on my first time on bungee jumping, the dude says, I'm asking him, I'm telling you, I don't know where all this cockiness came from and arrogance and whatnot, but I was like, man, how do you get the best jump, right? So dude's telling me, he's like, okay, well, the side that me and my son were jumping off of, the way that it, because the rope is hooked over to here, as opposed to the one that you just step off is over here. So, no, this one is hooked under here, it is hooked over here. And so that's why you get more G-force coming from this side. And so, he says, man, what you do is you run out there. He said, you jump Die Hard style, like, the building's blowing up behind you and wave your arms and all that. And then you swan dive. And he says, as you're swan diving, because the harness is on your chest, it'll catch you and fling you and just give you that much more G-force. I said, it's nothing. Got it. Okay. Right. Yeah. I got it. Listen, I've jumped 3 times now, and I've gotten closer to jumping. But I still have not even close to a swan.
Now I got to try it because I've never gone. Oh, I see it on TV all the time.
It's no joke, man. I'm giving you, man. It's no joke. I took one of my students too. I was really, I think the second time I went, I was really proud of one of my students that I had at the time when I was teaching it, and just the way that he conducted himself, I was really proud. And so I took one of my students. And he went out there like a straight G, man. I mean, jumped out there, arms just, whoosh, I mean, just arms extended, no problem.
Die hard dive?
Just die, yeah, he did die hard. He had no problem at first. I didn't have it, though. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm 3 deep and I still don't have it, so I don't know, man.
Yeah, so what are you working on these days, other than the podcast?
Trying to get another property up underneath my property management. I was trying to take my test today so I could do so I could start buying and selling real estate, as well as you can't even be a property manager in Washington unless you have your real estate license. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
Craziest thing. So
just to manage property.
Just to manage property.
No kidding.
You can manage your own. You just can't manage somebody else's. Legally, so.
Yeah, some kind of a whatever.
It's just crazy. I mean, yeah, there's some kind of
that's how laws get passed.
Yeah, and and I actually once you go through the course, I kind of see why they would want you to have it, because it talks about like a lot of the Fair Housing Act, acts and different rights of that you can have with property, whether it's water rights and and all this different stuff and easements, and so I can see how it could be super beneficial for a property manager to know those things.
And so what was your path to here? Like, what was your first job when you got out?
So my first, initially, I went straight to school, and so I had.
You're a Husky, right?
Yeah, I'm a Husky. I got my first AA when I was inside Ohio University, and then I came home and I said, and I was trying to finish my I was trying to get my bachelor's in there, and I just couldn't get it done. But I told myself, I said I was going to do school, so I jumped out into full school, went to Edmonds Community. Because I was changing my major of my AA to business, so I had to go back and take my prereqs or whatever was necessary. So that took a year. And that was enough time. It basically gave me another AA,
okay,
and the DTA, the direct transfer, and then I transferred over to the School of Business at the UW.
Foster School?
No, not in Bothell. They don't call it Foster. I went to the Bothell one.
Oh, Milgard?
I think it is Milgard. Something like that.
No, Tacoma's Milgard. Seattle's Foster. I don't know what Bothell is.
Oh, yeah, isn't that crazy?
Huh.
Yeah, and I went there.
Oh, go Dogs, whatever.
So then obviously that took another 2 years. But during that time, so the first job I started really working for, I started working for the Urban League, and I was teaching the career. Jesus Louises, what the heck is it? Career Bridge. I was teaching the Career Bridge. Had phenomenal success there. Successfully integrated the male and female classes. Had the biggest graduating class they've ever had. The highest retention numbers. Was just really poured my heart into that work. While still going to school full time. That was a little challenging. Then during all of that, I broke off into the property management. Which is good, because then the Career Bridge came to an end. So I started doing the property management, a little bit of Airbnb, graduated, and now I was getting ready to write some curriculum. Since I've taught those classes and whatnot, I was getting ready to write some curriculum and just try to go around to some of the nonprofits and and sell my services, doing what I love. I love social work. I love messing with the youth. All right.
So where were we?
I have no idea. I honestly can't remember.
So we'll just jump back into, I guess employment. So how was your employment picture getting out? Did you have challenges getting a job, or?
No. I went to work release. I went straight to work. It was easy to get a job there, and I didn't. I can't remember why. I had once again, you have these expectations of what you think that you're going to do this and you're going to do that and life's going to be this, but. I went to work at a restaurant for a little bit. Wasn't getting enough hours to get my socials. I had to get up out of there, and so ended up going to work for this guy renovating homes. And
was that how you got into real estate, or got a sniff of the real estate game?
Well, no, I had already been interested, and I had already bought myself a little duplex and whatnot. So I had already kind of been into it. I watched, obviously I watched years and years and years of HGTV. But I hadn't actually put my hands to anything. And so he gave me the opportunity. And the main thing I think he really gave me was the confidence just to do stuff. I remember the first time I was going to do he asked me to do some tiling. And because when I got the job, I told him, hey, listen, I don't know how to do anything, but, I'm a fast learner and I'm eager. And
so let me pause real quick.
Yeah.
You said you bought a duplex. How soon do you buy a duplex from your release?
Oh, man. Probably I'm going to say probably, I'm gonna say a year before I got out, probably a year or two.
Oh, so did you have? I mean, most people can't buy a duplex. Did you have family money, or you saved up some?
No, I just was, I had various jobs inside, different what do they call the minimum wage jobs, right? Just different things like that.
Yeah, because you were down for so long. That means you could work back when you can get the.
Well, even that out of state had minimum wage jobs. And then.
So you actually saved this money up while you're doing your time.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was.
Especially if you could buy a duplex from saving money while you're doing time.
It was challenging, but I was able to accomplish it, and so then. So I got that, so that's why I was able to get out too. So I didn't have to worry about housing or anything like that. So
you just moved in your own duplex.
Just moved to my own spot. That was a blessing. That was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's amazing. Good job.
It definitely took a lot of work, a lot of time, and it took being able to trust people. Being able to reach out and actually have someone you can trust who can A, hold that for you, B, go and sign paperwork and documents. And so I definitely didn't do it on my own. But so then. He came into the bathroom, the guy came into the bathroom, and I said, listen, I don't know how to tile. So I want you to tile this bathroom. So he said, listen, you put the mortar on here, you slap this down, you do this. I now knight you a tiler. And he just walked off on me.
Yeah.
And I was like,
just figure it out.
Yeah. And I was like, well, it's not my house, so, I guess,
Yeah.
And I just went to work. But that's what gave me the confidence even now. One of the things I remember, one of the apartments is the deck is the roof of the other apartment's kitchen, and there was a leak in there, and so I went in there, and I remember I grabbed my little saw and I just cut this big old hole in the deck, and I looked down and I'm looking straight into the other apartment, and I was like, man, you're a for real landlord. This is serious.
Yeah.
This is real deal here. So man, that's how I've been doing it ever since. If something has to get done, I just jump in, and then whatever happens, happens. It's going to get fixed eventually. It might take me an extra day or two longer than somebody else, but it won't the next time. So
it sounds like you had your head screwed on straight while you're doing your time to accomplish all this. So does that help you kind of coach other guys coming out and might have different perspectives?
Well, I mean, also what I'll say is that I definitely the last 10 is when my change really started to happen. But I will say that, man. Whether people realize it or not, what you do in there is beyond essential to your release, beyond essential. And I mean, even just a quick, small example I noticed is, my CCO was coming over to the house one day, and they do, they'll do ride-alongs.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that the guy who was doing a ride-along with my CCO he was a counselor at Monroe when I was there, and so. As they're riding up, I'm sure they're passing a picture back and forth. This guy, we're going to look at him. He did so many years, et cetera, et cetera. And when he got, so he got there, and I recognized the guy, and I can't remember his name, but I just recognized him. And I was like, "How you doing?" He's like, "How you doing?" He gave me, some greetings, and then he left. And I think it was like the next time or the time after that I saw my CCO, and my CCO said, "Remember that one guy I rode up with?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "I already didn't think I was going to have any issues with you, but after talking to him, I knew I wasn't."
Oh, nice.
And so
because he knew you from the inside.
He remembered everything I was doing. Like I was doing orientations or whatever I was doing. Yeah. I think I was teaching a class at the time too inside there, and so that was just a small example of what you do in there, man. Is crucial out here to your success. My CCO. I already had a good CCO, and he wasn't on my back, but that just made him more chill.
Yeah.
So it's essential though. It really is. I wish I would have known. I would have went harder.
Yeah.
I would have went harder, so.
Yeah, that's the way I kind of look at it, is like, kind of prison, you're on ice. But I figured if I could keep moving forward in life while I was in prison, then all that time isn't wasted. So I really buckled down, did my school.
I looked at it too, definitely that, right? Because it's the times in the past no matter what. But I also looked at it like, when I failed, I was, drinking and drugging and, and all of those things. And I look at it like, yeah, they stole 20 from me, but really I stole it back because I got in such phenomenal shape that I know I'm gonna live 20 more years than I would have lived prior to then. So really it's a wash, Now what's not a wash is the aspect of, along the way, two families had to go through some, a lot of hardships and a lot of trauma. That's not no wash, and there's nothing, and I wish I could, go back on that regard, but as far as, my age and as far as, health and living longer, yeah, I think I might have even won, really, honestly. Better quality of life now than what it would have been
Yeah, it's kind of funny if you think about where would you be now if prison hadn't intervened.
I'd probably be dead.
Yeah.
Not a question. I was when I was 16. My mom took a life insurance policy out on me because she said she couldn't afford to bury me. So that just kind of lets you know the kind of life I was living.
She knew it was coming.
She knew it. She seen. She just saw the way I was living, and I didn't take notice. I don't know. I just didn't understand what it meant. I signed the paper and just walked off like, oh, okay, I got you here.
Yeah, whatever.
But I mean, that's a serious thing for a mom to have to take out a life insurance policy on your teenage son because you don't think he's gonna make it too much longer. That's heavy.
Yeah.
I can
because you just have to think about.
Yeah, it really does. I can only imagine what that pain feels like. So I know a lot of people were hurt along the way. So life isn't all gravy. Yeah. That's for certain.
Yeah. So we kind of started this podcast today because you want to learn how to do podcasts. So tell me more about yours and who you're trying to reach, your message you're trying to put out there.
It's called Freedom Forward, and it's really just a twofold thing. It's really just about allowing the average citizen to see and understand that there are guys getting out of prison and not just staying out, but doing some phenomenal things in their own right. I've interviewed Jeff Misa, and he was on death row, and now he's out here running a successful halfway house. Operations and program director for that. He has prison ministries where he constantly goes back into prisons. I just got done interviewing JJ Bourgeois. He's been out he did 27 years, been out 6 months, and he just got accepted to Gonzaga Law School.
Nice.
Getting ready to interview Eddie Howard. He did 15 years, and he's out here and he started his own nonprofit. So just hitting these different guys that are doing some phenomenal things out here in the community, and not just being out here, not just surviving, but they're thriving. Yeah. And so one fold was to hit the average citizen and allow them to see that people are doing great things, and then the second fold was to let guys that are coming out see that you can do it, but understand that you're gonna have to jump through the roadblocks. You're gonna hit mental and emotional pitfalls that you're gonna have to navigate and be able to reach out to one another. Just the different things that, saying maybe things that I've went through, maybe things that I haven't, that someone else went through, hardships, because it's not easy. There's always that, when you're inside, people are always saying, you don't understand, you're not out here. And we're always just telling them when we were in, you guys just have no drive. And I think they're both right. I think it is, bottom line, it is different out here. And I think that secondly, they didn't have the drive, so I think it's a combination of both. Because life is, for me, it humbled me coming home. It greatly humbled me. And I just take those lessons and I continue to try to give them to the next guy. When I was in, I used to always ask guys that did like 15, 20 years when they would get out. I'd wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever. And I would, because once a month happens, you lose contact with them anyways when you're doing it a bunch of time. And I'd always ask guys, what's if right now, one piece of advice, what's the one piece of advice you would give me, nothing else? And I'm going to say 7 of the 8 people, man, said save some money, right? Because they were like, man, within your first week or two, people are, they're taking you out to lunch, they're buying you maybe some clothes or some shoes. Man, you've been out 2 weeks now. They're expecting you to take them to lunch. And so
you always need money.
You're gonna need to be able to keep it afloat. But I wish I would have had the opportunity to talk to them 6 months in, a year in, because I honestly believe that their advice and stories would have been different. I don't think it would have been saved money.
Oh, interesting.
I think it would have been relationships, man.
So then what's your advice? Is relationships?
Yeah, relationships, hands down. We put so much time and energy into our jobs, into school, but you can't take none of them things with you. The only thing we can really leave and take are the memories that we leave with people, the lives that we affect around us, and man, it's relationships, man. You gotta invest the time the same way that you do your finances and you do your school and stuff.
All right, so when are you kicking it off? When's the first episode flying?
Now that I have a few more tools up underneath, maybe probably this weekend.
Cool.
The three will drop this weekend, and then then it's going to be one a week after that.
So then how do we find you? Just Google?
Yeah, Google. It should be on, so this weekend it should be on Google Podcasts, it should be on Apple Podcasts. It'll be Freedom Forward with Goldie. So it should be on all those things. if everything goes right.
Yeah, do you have a Facebook landing page or anything, or website?
No, I'm pretty low key, man. Yeah, I really don't, and I know I need to get into the social media and do it, but I've really just been kind of zoning out and trying to learn how to appreciate life, a little bit more, and.
Well, yeah. Once you get it up, we can always kind of add your handles and your social media tags to this, the writing for the podcast.
I sure appreciate that too. I do have a. I'll send you the links too. I'll send you the links. I do have an Instagram account and stuff. I don't ever be on them, man. I literally I think I see other. I don't think I have one post at all. Period.
Yeah.
My own personal Facebook literally has like 6 posts ever. I just don't. And I know it's important, but yeah, I'd rather just be with people. That's all.
Yeah. What's your profile picture?
UW. So
That's right.
Just UW. It's that dogs, man. It's that W. Yeah, I was super proud of that, man. That accomplishment, being able to graduate from, from the School of Business, coming where we come from, and then I just never thought it.
Congratulations.
I appreciate that. Definitely.
All right, Goldie. We look forward to the podcast. Thanks for joining our social impact. You'll have to interview me. Maybe we can trade podcast stories. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. That's how. If you remember, that's how we started off.
Yeah.
Because I was reaching out to you about interviewing you, so definitely, I'm excited for that.
All right, Goldie. Thanks for your time, buddy.
All right, thank you.
Good to see you again.
Yep.